Morning, students. Let's begin our class today. I hope you all are okay, safe at home. Uh, till now, we have completed the principles of management, the meaning of management, and I hope you understood the chapter. I've seen many students have not watched the video which I posted last, but I'll request, it's better to first see what management, then you see then you watch about principles of management. So basically there are two people whose principles are followed in commerce, in business line. That is Henry Fayol. One is Henry Fayol and other one is Taylor. Henry Fayol and Taylor principle. These two persons' principles are followed in the commerce, in management. And today I'm going to teach you about Henry Fayol's principles. I'll not teach all the 14 principles in today's class only. I'll teach only 7 principles today because this topic is very important. So I'll go slow. I'll teach only 7 principles, and in the next class I'll teach another 7 principles of Henry Fayol's. Basically there are 14 principles of Henry Fayol's. So I'll teach 7 today, and in the next class I'll post 7 principles. Let's start. First, just a brief note about who was Henry Fayol and all. Henry Fayol is a French person who is known as father of modern management. Sometimes in a short question they may ask who is known as father of management, modern management. So you should know that Henry Fayol is known as father of modern management. In year 1916, he wrote a book, Industrial and General Administration book, and he gave 14 principles of management, and he said that these 14 principles of management are universally accepted. It's not like, as I told you when I was explaining the meaning of management, I told you that management is science as well as art. Science, why it is called science? Because like science principles, everybody universally accepted principles are there. Same thing with management, universal accepted principles are there for management. So even these management which was given by Henry Fayol is accepted universally and used even today. That's why we are discussing today. It's used till now. That's why in your books it is there, and this is an important point. It is helpful for management. According to Henry Fayol, all managers must follow these principles, and managers, and Henry Fayol said that a manager person, if a person wants smooth management, a person should follow these principles. Now we'll start with the principle. Now the first principle is division of work. Class, I always try to make video in a very simple language so that you can understand while reading it. Again, I'll request, if you have any doubt you can ask, but I try my best to use simple language, simple English language, so that you can understand the point. Now the first principle of Henry Fayol is division of work. Now by the word, by the statement only you can understand division of work. Division of labor means division of total task in basic elements so that an employee can concentrate on only one type of work. Now, why division? What is division of labor? Division of labor is dividing work according to the, or dividing work so that person can give his best. If you'll put pressure on someone, if you'll give so many tasks to one person, what will happen? He'll not able to perform the task properly. He'll not able to perform even one task properly. If you have heard the proverb, there's a proverb, jack of all, masters of none. Means he's doing lot of work, but he's not even masters in one. If you'll give a lot of work to one person, how he'll able to complete? He'll not able to give his 100% for one work also. So it's better to divide the work. For example, if one person is working in a factory and that one person is doing packaging, production, and then labeling, then what will happen? There will be chances of that he'll not able to give his 100% even in one task. So it's better to divide the work. One should do packaging, one should do production, one should do be in production department, one should do be in a packaging department. So it's better to divide the work. It helps to improve by avoiding wastage of time. Yes, it will. Now what is time is money, right? Time is money. Uh, if you'll what I can say, if you use the time efficiently, ultimately you are doing what? You're making money, right? So if you divide the labor, if you divide the work, ultimately you are doing what? You're wasting, you're avoiding wastage of time, and it helps to get efficiency and effort caused by change from one type of work to another. Division of work is applicable to all kinds of work, technical as well as managerial. Now, division of labor is needed everywhere, not only in the work which is technically required. This division of work is not only required in technical or management, it is required everywhere. If you talk about when construction goes on, if a small construction is also going on, one the mason always carry one labor. The mason himself doesn't do everything, he carry one labor, so that his labor can help him in making cement mixture, or by giving him bricks and all. Why? Because he himself cannot do all the activities, he need division of work. So the first principle of Henry Fayol is division of work. If you want to get full efficiency of your labor, if you want good efficient, or if you want 100% from your labors, you need to divide the work, then only you'll get best result. So this is the first principle of Henry Fayol, that is division of labor. It is required everywhere in all kinds of work, whether the work is related to technical or whether the work is related to managerial management work. It is required everywhere. Now the next principle of Henry Fayol is authority and responsibility relationship. This though I already explained you while we were discussing the management chapter. Authority is a right to get work done from others, and responsibility is the obligation to perform the assigned task. Anyone who exercises authority must accept responsibility. Authority and responsibility are coexistence, and they must go hand in hand. Means, if you have given some right, if you have given some if you have given some power to someone, then you should give responsibility also to that person. If you'll not give responsibility, you'll just give power, what will happen? He'll not able to complete the task properly. Same thing, if you give responsibility and if you'll not give authority to someone, then he'll not able to complete it, he'll not able to take it seriously. Authority is a right to give order and get it obeyed. Authority is right, or you can say is a power you have given to someone, and responsibility is accountability, right? Okay, let us take the example of yourself. Your mother has given you 5,000 rupees, and he told you that this is 5,000 rupees, you buy all these stuff from the market. She has given you some list to buy from the to purchase from the market, and she has given you responsibility as well as authority. It's not like that she has given you only a list and she told you that okay, you just buy, and she has not given you money. She has given you power to buy, to choose, and then responsibility, that accountability. Whenever you'll come back, you need to give answer to your mother. So this is what responsibility. So authority is the power and responsibility is accountability. You are accountable. In your country, why have you ever thought that in our country, why our country is still developing? Our country is not developed yet, though so much of funds development work is going on, so much of funds are there which government is putting for the development of the country, but still developing, our country is developing. Why so much corruption is there in our country? I know I'm going a bit astray from the topic, but still I just want to explain this point. That's why I'm going away from this topic. I want to tell what authority and responsibility actually is. So why there is so much of corruption in our country? Because our government gives authority to the people, to the ministers, but our government never give responsibility to them, never accountable. For example, if a government has given 10 crore rupees to someone to make some highway or something, now government has given power to that person, given authority to that person, that okay, keep 10 crore rupees that you have to prepare, but government is not accountable, responsibility is not with that person, he is not accountable. Means government may not ask, and government is not taking it after giving money, government forgets. This is what where we are lacking in our country. So authority and responsibility is, if you want your work to be done efficiently, if you want your work to be done properly, you need to give authority and responsibility to the person. Authority without responsibility leads to irresponsibility and irresponsible behavior, while responsibility authority will make a person ineffective. See, if you give authority without responsibility, what the person will become? Person will become irresponsible, as what in our country ministers and all do. They are not responsible. They are very irresponsible because government is not accountable. And if you give responsibility without authority, as I told, that your mother has given you responsibility, buy the goods, buy this stuff from the market, and he has not given you authority that okay, you have to buy this much, or you can buy according to, you can choose according to your wish, or you can choose over there. Then what? She has given you responsibility, but she has not given you authority. So that's what authority and responsibility goes hand in hand. You need both for smooth functioning of the management. Then the next principle is discipline. Yes, management without discipline is of no use. Discipline means obedience to rules and regulations. Principles are what? Management principles are rules and regulations. And if discipline is not there in the organization, if nobody is obeying the rules and regulations, what is the use of the rules and regulations? If school is there, let us take the example of your school. School is there, and if there is no discipline in the school, will any student will follow? Will any person can say okay, this school is a perfect school? Without discipline, no. Without discipline, nothing can be managed properly. Without obedience, without rules and regulation, nothing can be run smoothly. Discipline is essential for the smooth running of the organization. Maintenance of discipline depends upon the quality of leadership. Yes, ultimately, who is responsible for discipline? Leaders are responsible for the discipline. If there is no discipline, it means who are lacking in that? Leaders are not able to control everything. Leaders are not able to manage everything. Judicious application of rules and orders. Now, it depends how rules and regulations are there. Now, in our country, there are so many rules and regulations, but nobody is there. Discipline is not there. Nobody is accountable. If you go and if you break the traffic rules, what will happen in our country? In foreign countries, so they straight away they'll take your license and your car is going to be, they're going to pay, you have to pay heavy fine, and then you first you pay the fine, then you can take your car. But in our country, okay, you just give 100 rupees to the this traffic police, and what they'll do, they'll just leave you, okay, go, next time just be careful. This is what goes in our country. So where we are lacking in discipline, we are lacking. Rules are there, but we are not following that rules properly because nobody is taking that rules and regulations seriously. So if a person wants, if a business to be run smoothly, if a management needs to be run smoothly, discipline is a prime factor. So another principle of Henry Fayol is discipline. The system of reward and penalty should be such as would encourage respect to the authority, rules and orders. Now, discipline doesn't mean that you just need to be strict or you need to be just to be very formal. Discipline is you need to motivate the employees, as well as you need to give penalty to the employees. You need to find penalties to the employee. If they are doing good, you should appreciate them. But if they are not doing good, you should give, they should be fined and they should get penalties. So discipline should be there. Without discipline, management cannot run smoothly. So As I taught, first principle is division of work. Work division is necessary. You need to divide the work, then only a person can give 100%. Second, authority and responsibility go hand in hand. A person should get authority, power, as well as responsibility. A person should be accountable. Discipline should be there. Without discipline, a business organization, a management cannot able to run smoothly. If a management need to run smoothly, a business, an organization should follow discipline. That is the another principle of Henry Fayol. Now the fourth principle, unity of command. Now what this unity of command is? This principles implies that subordinate should receive order from one superior and the subordinate should be accountable to one boss only. In case there are more than one superior for the subordinates, there may be a conflict in the authority and confusion among subordinates. Now this is very simple point. Unity of command is a person should have only one boss. If, for example, if laborers are working in a factory and there are 3-4 persons who are controlling them, okay, they are having 3-4 boss. Now one boss is saying, okay, make 100 unit of product. After 2 hours another boss comes and he say, okay, you just made 50 products. Then after some time another boss comes and he say, okay, make 200 units of product. Now what will happen? There will be a lot of confusion. So laborers should get only order from one boss. A subordinate should have only one boss. Ultimately, if there will be more than one boss, what will happen? There will be a confusion and there will be indiscipline in the organization and conflict will be there. What is conflict? A dispute, a fight will be there. Therefore, the principle of unity of command should be strictly observed. Why Henry Fayol has made this principle? To avoid confusion, to avoid conflict in the business organization. So unity of command, in simple words, a business organization should have only one boss. One boss. If there will be more than one boss, what will happen? There will be a confusion and there will be no discipline. There will be indiscipline in the organization. So just to avoid confusion and conflict, this principle was framed, the principle of unity of command. Then subordination of individual interest to common interest. Now what is this? Subordination of individual interest to common interest. An organization is bigger than an individual. Therefore, the interest or goal of the organization must prevail upon the individual interest of employees. In order to achieve supremacy of group or common interest, manager must set a good example and they must be firm but reasonable in dealing with subordinates. So this says that a person or an organization should not give preference, though they should give preference to the organization. Employees interest should also give preference, but individual preference should not be priority. The priority is the preference of the company as a whole. For example, if one person is telling to change the time schedule or to change the shift time of a company, because one person is having problem because of time, a company should not change a time, because only one person is affecting because of time. But if company need to take in mind about all the employees, because only one person is not working in a company. They need to give priority to company as a whole rather than individual interest. Okay, the interest should not be given priority over the interest of the organization. The purpose of this principle is to integrate the individual goal with the organization goal. The main purpose behind this is individual goal is not a priority. Priority is to attain organization goal. Management objective, management motive is not to satisfy or not to achieve the goal of an individual. Management motive is to achieve the goal of an organization as a whole. So they should give preference to the company, not to the individual interest. Constant supervision is necessary to prevent promotion of personal interest at the cost of the organization. Now, for that, company should continuously, they need to focus, they need to give directions, they need to supervise to their employees. If they'll not do, what will happen? They'll just work according to their own wish, they work according to their own interest. But company, why management is there? As we were discussing, why management is necessary. First need of management is to attain the company's goal. Now, to attain company goal, company need to supervise, need to do supervision, so that people should work for the company goal, not for their own motive, not for their own objective. Now, what the company employees will do? They will get a salary, right? After 1 month, they'll get a salary. If there will be no supervision, if they'll not, then what they'll do? They'll just working for their own interest, for their salary. If there will be no supervision, they'll work only, if they're sitting 8 hours, they'll work only for 3 hours, because they are working for their interest, they are working for their salary. Now, management need to see, they need to supervise that person should work for the company interest as well, so that company should fulfill their objective. The company should not suffer because of individual behavior. So this is another interest, another principle of Henry Fayol. Then comes fair remuneration. Now, what is remuneration? First of all, before understanding this point, you should know what remuneration is. Remuneration is salary, is their pay they are getting. If you'll not give proper salaries to the employees, would you think they'll work properly? Not at all. If you're doing so much of partiality with their salaries, you're giving good salary to a person who is not working enough, and you're not giving good salary to a person who is working enough, there will be injustice, and obviously the efficiency of the employees will get affected because of that. So if you want 100% from your employees, you should give fair remuneration, good salaries according to their qualification, according to their capabilities, according to their specialization, according to their hard work. They should get salary, not because for example, three persons are working in a company. One person is getting a very good salary because he is son-in-law or he is relative of CEO. Another person, very qualified person, but he is not working properly, he'll get good salary. But the third person, though he is also qualified, same qualification is there, but he is doing hard work, he is doing overtime as compared and giving good result as compared to the second person, and he's not getting this much that much salary. What will happen? His morale, his what you can say, his morale is going to affect because of that. So his efficiency is going to be, he will be demotivated. So this should not be happen in company. If you want smooth function of a company, and if you want full efficiency from your employees, the remuneration paid to employees should always be fair and provide maximum satisfaction to employer and employees. Now, employer should also get satisfied with the salary, and employees who are working, who are getting salary, should also satisfied. The management must see that they are giving fair salaries to their employees. They should increase the salary, they should get increment. If they'll get increment after a fixed period of time, what will happen? They'll get motivated because of that increment. And they should get proper facilities, and they should see that their standard of living is increasing. So it's the responsibility of management to see all these things. The wages and salary should provide sufficient incentive as well, proper higher productivity on the part of worker, as this will help to increase the efficiency, productive work from the labor. So fair remuneration is another principle of Henry Fayol. I know there is some counting mistake. Last was 6. This fourth, after fourth comes 6th principle. Don't worry, in the next video I'll teach 8 principles. I know till now we have done only 6 principles. In the next video I'll post 8 principles. So till now we have discussed how many principles? 6 principles. of Henry Fayol. First is division of work, then authority and responsibility, then discipline, third one, then fourth is unity of command, then fifth one is subordination of individual interest to common interest. I want you to go this from your book as well. If you have any doubt in this point especially, you can ask, because this point is quite tricky. And the sixth one is fair remuneration. Fair remuneration means fair salaries. That's all for today. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Thank you.